morning. I got to get used to this fancy camera in this new studio, S.A.
That's right.
Happy Friday. S.A.'s in the building. Mike T's in the building. Woody's in the building.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, how are we?
I'm doing wonderful. It's good to see you.
Thank you,
I
friend.
see
You as
you
well.
before it was the white and then the green and now the black. All right, all right.
Yeah, yeah.
I gotta keep up.
What's up? What's up, baby?
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, we in the house.
No,
I'm in preseason mode. I'm in
It's good for
preseason mode.
Friday. It's good for Friday.
Okay.
It's good for
Okay.
Mr. CIA. What's up, baby? You
Not
good?
good, CIA.
You good? All right. I'm here in the house for y'all.
All right, you good, Mike T?
Let's roll.
All right, so preseason, you know what, Woody? I like that you brought that up because we got some things to get into, and we start our conversation today on First Take with Aaron Rodgers, y'all. He will officially not play in the Steelers' second preseason game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. A decision is still up in the air regarding him playing in the final preseason game. But with that great defense, the defense that is signature to who the Steelers have been, we've got that defense backing up the offense. Head coach Mike Tomlin has high hopes for what the new look Steel Curtain defense can be this season.
We feel really good about the prospects of this group. We do. We got to write that story, but we got enough talent. We got enough schematics to do big things. And when I say big things, I'm talking about historic things.
Historic things. All right, so D-Will, we're coming to you first. Is this Pittsburgh defense, is this going to be enough to make this group a playoff team?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, listen, with Mike Tomlin, over the years, the defense has always carried them into the postseason. I think the question that when we talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers over the years is the quarterback position. We saw last year coming down the stretch, the reason that the defense actually wore down is because the offense couldn't do anything. The defense were playing a lot more than they really should have on the field. And so when I look at this defense, they have all the requisite pieces that you need to go out here and be a really good defense. They got pass rushers. They're stout, as far as rush, against Russian teams. They got guys that can cover. And the biggest question mark is the quarterback. Can the quarterback go out there and operate this offense? Can they score enough points to keep this defense fresh? But as far as is the defense good enough to get them to the postseason? Yes, because Mike Tomlin has never missed the postseason.
Now, that's a fact. But Mike T, I see you over there, notes, you got your pen tap. You disagree?
Absolutely. In the AFC, in this day and age, guys, you have to score points. And when we think about Baltimore, Buffalo, Kansas City, even the Chargers, you have to be a point scorer to get into the postseason. And I believe in Mike T like anybody else. He's a Hall of Famer. They have 4 starters on defense over the age of 30. So Cam Hayward, Jalen Ramsey, Darius Slade, and T.J. Watt. Mm-hmm. And at some point, they could wear down. But more fundamentally, their quarterback's going to be 42. So Stephen A., I think, even though their defense can be really good, with a young offensive line, a quarterback that wasn't in the offseason program, who's not playing in the preseason, they're going to have to score. And to me, I worry about that. Not that he's not going to know what to do, but those young offensive linemen. So to me, it's a massive question mark. Even with a good defense, they make the postseason.
Well, the interesting part is that the specificity of editorial content. I mean, it would be me. That would be my lane. You see what I'm saying? Playing is your lane. Being an executive is your lane. The editorial content would be mine. The specificity of it all, right? The reason I bring that up is because the question is, to make the playoffs, not to win a playoff game.
Right.
See, to win a playoff game, that's a different animal. That's where what you said comes right into play, Mr. CIA. When it comes to making the playoffs, that's something that they found a way to do religiously. Somehow, some way, inexplicably, even against all odds, Mike Tomlin finds a way to make them relevant enough to get to the postseason. They weren't supposed to make it last year, but lo and behold, they ended up doing so because Cincinnati forgets to play the game of football, from January to mid-September, because they always start out. They're 1-11 in the first 2 games of the year over the last 6 years, which is pathetic, which calls for an investigation into Zach Taylor and his coaching staff. What the hell are you doing that y'all can't win games in the first 2 weeks of a season? That's just putrid, okay? We get that part. However, you're absolutely right. When you talk about the potency of the offense, particularly in Cincinnati, and then Baltimore being probably the favorites to come out of the AFC in terms of their talent across the board, you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers, you're going to have to do more than having an elite defense in order to win a playoff game. But to make the playoffs, even though it's a bit compelling, I'm looking at you. You kept T.J. Watt. You still got Patrick Queen in the crew. I mean, like you said, they can cover. You drafted a defensive end in Harmon to come at, first round, 25th pick. What are you doing with him? He's going to be starting for you. So I'm looking at them and I'm saying, I don't expect their defense to dip. I expect their defense to elevate. And if your defense elevates within the AFC and you got a quarterback that doesn't really turn the ball over, which is what Aaron Rodgers is not known to do for the most part, I'm going to take those things into consideration. I'm going to say, yeah, that's enough to get them to the playoffs. Okay. But are you going to win a playoff game?
Monica,
that's the question.
Can I change lanes? Can I put my turn signal on and change lanes and jump into Stephen A?
Okay, I just want to make one clarification before you do that, though, Mike T. Mike Tomlin has never had a losing
season, yes.
He has missed the playoffs 6 times, though.
Yes.
Right, and I'm going to use some editorial data on this one, which is in the history of pro football, which is 100 years of data, there's been 2 quarterbacks to start a playoff game age 42 or older. Tom Brady, let's just throw him out, and Drew Brees started 1 game. So for Aaron Rodgers to do that, guys, that's an overwhelming amount of data and history to say at some point he will probably break down. And let's face it, like, are we sitting here, the 4 of us, confident that Mason Rudolph is going to lead?
Hell to no.
Right,
Hell
exactly.
to no.
Right. So what information do we have in the last 4 or 5 years that Aaron Rodgers is going to play in 17 games?
That's the wrong question. What information do we have that the Steelers can overcome the odds under the stewardship of Mike Tomlin? That's the question. You can bring up Aaron Rodgers all you want to. Aaron Rodgers, to me, ain't going to be worse than Russell Wilson. He ain't going to be worse than Justin Fields. He ain't going to be worse than Mason Rudolph. He ain't going to be worse than Mitchell Trubisky. He ain't going to be worse than his quarterback. He ain't going to be worse than Ben Roethlisberger was in the last year or 2 of his time in Pittsburgh, who's a future Hall of Famer. We love and appreciate Big Ben Roethlisberger, but damn, he stayed too long. The bottom line is that over the last 6 or 7 years, we've had nothing to brag about in Pittsburgh from the quarterback position. As far as I'm concerned, Aaron Rodgers playing with house money. House money. I mean, listen, if he went out, as bad as 48 QBR last year, 28 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, about 3,800 yards passing, if he did that for the Steelers, we'd be happy. Compared to what we've been dealing with, hell yeah.
Here's the thing. Like, you got to understand, there's a difference between what the New York Jets ask of Aaron Rodgers and what the Pittsburgh Steelers want to ask of Aaron Rodgers. Okay, the New York Jets asked Aaron Rodgers to be their savior and literally turn the whole franchise around. With the Pittsburgh Steelers, they just asked him just be the quarterback. Just operate this thing.
The year that Aaron Rodgers, the injury, the very tough year, the year he went to the Jets, I remember New York talking about this team potentially having what they needed on both sides of the ball, in addition to Aaron Rodgers. So I don't feel like the original plan before he got hurt was that far off from what y'all are saying the Steelers have the potential to support him with now.
But Monica, there's something else fundamental in this conversation, which is I understand what your point is, Stephen A., about, okay, he's probably a better quarterback than what they've had.
But that defense is horrid.
So, real quick, and Woody jump in real quick, but we got to put a button on this. Where do y'all see the Steelers in the division? Because I'm with Mike T. I see him as the 3rd best team.
So do I.
I see him as the 3rd best team.
Okay.
I think 3 teams will come out of the AFC North.
All right. Well, that would speak to the brutal nature and the physicality of the AFC North if that were to come to fruition. But we're going to keep this thing moving right along, y'all. The public saga continues between Jerry Jones and Micah Parsons as the team has not gotten any closer to reaching a new contract since Micah requested a trade on August 1st. Yesterday, SA, you had some interesting comments on how this standoff feels a little different.
I don't view this as the same old, same old. I viewed everything else that he did with other players as legitimate, bona fide contract disputes. Despite Jerry's mishandling of them, one would argue, because of how late he waits to get them signed. This is different. This businessman is acting like a conversation with a 25, 26-year-old linebacker was a negotiation. I don't understand how we can sit here and be comfortable with what is transpiring.
We go to our former front office exec first for perspective on this one. Will Jerry Jones be able to recover from the way that this negotiation is playing out?
Absolutely. So just to suspend your imagination, there were times that people actually didn't like me at certain points.
No way.
I don't, just go.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
I would disagree. He paid me very well.
Woody's like the happy kid and everybody else is over here.
There we go.
My 2 kids certainly could weigh in on this topic. But anyway, look, they could be really hard sometimes. Long, drag-out negotiations. I had some on national TV. But when they pay him $42, $43 million a year, which is a no-brainer and should have been done literally a year ago, it all goes away. Because now it's about, hey, can we get to the title? Can we win with Dak Prescott and the window being open? So to me, as ugly and this is really unnecessary. There are hard decisions. We could have a great discussion about, is Terry McLaurin worth it at 30? This guy is a great player in his prime, absolute no-brainer. But when this gets done, and I have been there, guys, everything gets smoothed over.
I disagree, respectfully, because I think that this is not, again, I'm being repetitive here, but it's necessary. It's not about the contract dispute. It's about the nuances that come with it. Micah Parsons was 25 years old at the time. He is now 26, turned 26 May 26th, okay? He's a 25-year-old elite defensive player in the NFL in the face of the Dallas Cowboys franchise for all intents and purposes. And you refused to talk to his agent, who is considered one of the best in the business. This is not an amateur. This is not a player that went and got one of his boys and said, you know what, come represent me, that has no negotiating experience whatsoever. David Mulugheta is one of the best agents in football, universally recognized. And the owner refused to talk to him. And you're saying that a conversation or conversations that you had with a 25-year-old at the time talking about his future is tantamount to a negotiation. As I articulated yesterday, I think we all recognize that, you know, I kind of know how to make a little money. A little bit. I know how to make a little money.
That's not breaking news either.
Okay. I might have an idea how to negotiate. That ain't happening without my representation. You know what I'm saying? You want to talk to me about my aspirations in terms of what I want to do. Mm-hmm. Fine. You start talking dollars and cents, and you start talking the particulars about what my life is going to be like. Oh, you got to holler at Mark Shapiro and John Rosen. You got to holler at them. You ain't coming to me because they are the ones who negotiate. I'm in my 50s, and I know that. You're talking to a 25-year-old. Come on now. This is a franchise that has elevated since their last Super Bowl appearance, 1996. Jerry Jones has increased the value of the Dallas Cowboys franchise by $9.4 billion. They are worth over $12.8 billion. This man prides himself on being an elite businessman. And you going to talk to a kid? Because for all intents and purposes, that's what he is in terms of negotiating. At the negotiating table, he's a baby. What are you doing? You're taking advantage of it. And for that to happen so flagrantly, for you to refuse to talk to his representation, for you to sit up there and say, I thought we had an agreement, that's egregious. Listen, Jerry Jones has done a lot for a lot of brothers. Right. He really, really has. And if you go to the Star and you just see former players, I can't say enough. I love Jerry Jones. I really do. But I'm ashamed of him with this. This is uncalled for. If you talking to his agent and this is where y'all are, we just talking about a negotiation. This is deeper than that. You're trying to take advantage. The man is not representing himself. He has representation. This is so deep to me. I'm wondering why we haven't heard from the Players Association. I'm wondering why we haven't heard from the league office about this. Wait a minute. What do you mean you refuse to talk to his agent? What's that about? I know he's under contract, but if you're willing to re-up him, that involves a negotiation. You got to talk to his representation.
What do you get in here? Because you're on to something, S.A., and I'm glad you said it because it's getting real funky.
I will say, listen, I agree with a lot of things that you just said about the whole situation between Jerry Jones and Micah Parsons. Absolutely, he knows, the whole fact that you're trying to bypass the agent and just do this whole 1980s type, handshake deal. Mm-hmm. Like you're very out of pocket for that. That's just. It's uncalled for. But I will say this. I've seen it time and time again with a lot of athletes where they've had what we call toxic relationships between player and owner or player and front office. And all it takes is just a new contract. Throwing some real money at a guy and things get resolved. Hold on, let me say this.
Please.
Because at the end of the day, you don't have to love a person in order to work with them.
A
You
bar.
really don't. You don't have to. You don't have to love a person to work with them. As long as there's some type of mutual respect, and the dollars make sense. You'll find a way to make it work.
Hold it. I'm not talking about Micah. Micah is the subject, but the bigger picture is what you're trying to get away with. We live in an age, the peeps are different these days.
Yeah,
It's a
no
different
question.
day. It's a different age. And when you have people, you remember how we threw out, you saw players throw out words like a plantation, this, that, talk about the National Football League, and we're like, oh, pump the brakes. Now it's a bit extreme. Now don't go that far.
Right.
But when stuff like this happens, it gives the veneer, the facade of something entirely different, which is a very, very dangerous thing for Jerry Jones to be associated with. It's uncalled for. If you talk to his agent, we're not having this discussion. It's a simple contract dispute. But because you're not talking to his agent, it alludes to something different, which is going to raise the ire of a lot of people. It's not good. It's not good for Jerry. It's not good for the Cowboys. It's not good for the NFL for it to be handled like this.
Yeah, Stephen A., I totally understand what you're saying, and everything he's doing is certainly insidious. But again, going back to the question, once you solve the problem, and we know the headlines, Micah Parsons, highest paid player in the history of the NFL outside of quarterbacks. And once that happens, I think people will move on, and he'll say that I paid Dak, and I paid CeeDee, and I paid Zeke, and I paid Micah. And stylistically, what he's doing, I agree with everything he said. But I do, and again, I've been there. I've been in all-out wars.
So, Mike T, hold on. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being this is going to get done, how confident are we that that's how it's going to play out?
Yeah, that's totally fair, Monica. I would have said 3 weeks ago it's a 10, but I'm probably at an 8 at this point. He's too good of a player. And to Stephen A's point about the value of the franchise, Jerry Jones is not going to let a star in his prime leave that building.
I will say this. The one thing we can say about one thing that's different about this situation, Micah doesn't come off as a corporate type guy. Dak is a corporate type guy.
That's right.
CeeDee Lamb seems like a corporate type
Excellent
guy.
point.
That's a great point.
Micah,
CD much less than Dak.
Right. Micah seems like the type of guy that I'm going to do me, and if you don't like it, then so be it. And I think, honestly, I think that's what ticks off Jerry Jones more than anything.
But no. I interviewed Micah Parsons on my YouTube show last year. He said on the air, on the record, he wants to stay with Dallas. He wants to sign with Dallas. He wants to sign early, even if it's for less. That's what he said. He was waiting. And Jerry Jones didn't. And then Jerry Jones came at him at a later date. But by this time, you're approaching the summer. And he's like, yo, okay, yeah, there's things that I want. Sure, this is good, that's good. But talk to my agent. So my point is that you had an opportunity to take care of him. You had an opportunity to save money. You had an opportunity to prevent compromising yourself with the cap, et cetera, et cetera. And in Micah Parsons' case, it ain't just about it too. And his whole thing is, I got him under contract. My only issue with Jerry is not talking to his agent. That is inexcusable. We have a right to have representation, man. Most instances, you as an executive would tell us, where's your representative?
100%.
Why are we talking about it? Go get your rep. But you can have handshakes. You can have an understanding. Overall, I want to be here. Overall, I might be willing to accept X, Y, Z. But talk to my agent. To not talk to his agent and to at least one time say you didn't even know who he was. You don't know who one of the best agents in all of sports is? David Mulugheta is one of the best in the business. Everybody knows him. How the hell are you going to say you did it?
And the Chiefs offense has retweeted